Hey guys, we're back for another episode of Inside Stoney Creek. My name is Kyle. I'm the campus pastor at the new campus that is launching in the fall. And our goal here is to inform and inspire you about the launch of this new campus. And one of the people that I'm so excited to introduce to you guys, if you don't know him yet, this is Nathan Waldorf.
What's up, guys? I'm Nate. I mean, people call me Nate. I don't know. My friends call me Nate, but
True,
it's
I just said Nathan. Sorry about that.
I know. No, it's okay. But yeah, Nate.
So he actually has a huge role in the launch of this new campus. So why don't you let him know, just for one, about the role, and then we'll get into your history.
Yeah, so I'll be the worship director at the Stoney Creek Campus. It's going to be amazing. Just be in charge of all the creative arts and making sure it all goes smooth and nobody screws up anything and make sure you sound good. And
that's right.
All that stuff.
Hopefully,
so, yeah.
And then you've been at Heritage now since 2018, I think.
So we started attending the Sterling Heights campus for about a year in 2018, and then I got hired at the Imlay City campus to be the worship director in 2019.
Okay, 2019.
So 5 years.
So you're 5 years. You're at the Imlay City campus, and I know, like, the Imlay City campus, if you haven't been there, it's 25-30 miles north of our Sterling Heights campus. And man, God has been doing great things over the last few years, and a big part of it is the work you put in behind the scenes. And the way, your band and tech and all that stuff is trying to really glorify God on a Sunday morning. So blessed to have you and your awesome family. So real quick, tell us about your family real quick.
I've been married to my wife, Kaylee. We got married in 2018. We've got two beautiful kids. Our daughter, Everly, who's 4, and then our daughter, Carter, who I don't know, by the time we air this, she'll either be 1 or 2. She turns 2 in June. So
such cute kids.
Yeah. So it's a great family. We're having a great time. So.
Yes, that's awesome. And then the thing a lot of people don't know about Nate is I have known you since you were like 16 or 17 years old.
Yep.
He was in my youth group actually back at a church a long time ago. I think when I started there it was 2012. So I've known you that long.
Yep. I was a junior in high school.
Yes. So one of my favorite memories of you when you were in the youth group, then eventually you became a small group leader and all that stuff. So I've seen you with like music and just the way you've led people. But do you remember the New York missions trip that we went on to Queens, New York?
I do remember that missions trip.
That was so fun. Do you know people will tell the story that they make fun of me about? Do you know the story what I'm about to say?
I don't. We didn't talk about this before.
Okay, I know. I'm catching you off guard. Do you remember about the rat situation? Remember the rats? Where there was the rats at Queens?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, so there's other people at Heritage who were in the youth ministry at the time who make fun of me all the time.
Okay.
And I'll just tell the story really quickly for everybody to know. One thing about me that you may not know is that there's not much that I'm afraid of in life. The thing that I am the most afraid of are rodents.
Yep. I did know that.
It's an unreasonable fear. I know it. Like, I remember a few years ago golfing at a golf course that had alligators on the golf course, like just casually hanging out, and that didn't bother me. But if you put if there would have been a rat on the golf course, I would not have golfed that day. I would have stayed home for sure. But anyways, we're in Queens, New York, and where we were sleeping and staying overnight was different from where we were doing ministry during the day.
I remember that.
And we were walking back to where all the guys were staying in a different church. It was like a mile away and like not a super, super safe part of the country. And we were walking along back to where we were staying for the night. And there was all these rats were jumping into like a sewer.
Okay, this is ringing a bell now.
Okay, and what ended up happening is it was me, 2 other adults, and like 20 high school guys.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to be responsible for the 23 people that were there or whatever, at least the guys that were there at that point. And instead of me staying with you guys, when I saw those rats, I just took off running. I just took off running. And honestly, everything in my mind and my heart was telling me to like stop and stay and be strong, but I could not help it. I just took off and booked it like Forrest Gump.
Yep.
So yeah, that was that. How about, do you have any good memories of being in ministry together or serving together?
Well, there's just so much. Yeah, that was my first time. The first time that I was on the worship team, was around the time that you started, and so just all the memories that I have of being in ministry, being in church, just like you've been there for all of them. So it's really just cool for this next season of time, getting a chance to do ministry so close with you, you and your wife and our families and stuff. So, it's going to be really good. Really exciting.
And we have a lot of the same, we like sports, together. We have a lot of the same hobbies, which is cool. Yep. But today we actually want to talk about how to reach the community here at Stoney Creek for Jesus. And I think because you are a very pivotal part of what we call our arts team, our Heritage Arts team, you are somebody who is going to be a big part of that. So we're clearly seeing a lot of life change happening at Heritage. And what are your thoughts on that and your guys' involvement in that, the arts team?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we talk about, on Sunday mornings is just, whether I'm at Sterling Heights or in Imlay City is, there's so much negativity, there's so much division and hate out in the world. And we try to invite people to come to our services that don't know Jesus. We try not to be just a club of churchgoers and Christ followers. We try to invite people that don't know Jesus, and we want to share the gospel with as many people as we can. So we want to, when people come in, we play upbeat, like fun songs. We want people to be encouraged when they come in. And the Bible says that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but he comes that we would have life.
Yes.
And we want to breathe life into the community, into the Stoney Creek community, and just be a positive influence, so that when people hear the name Heritage Church, they're encouraged. They know that we're on mission together, not just for Jesus but for the community, and really just to bring that. And there's funny stories of Imlay City. When they first launched in the Imlay City community, they had all these big community events, and they were known in the community as a church that really tried to make an impact for the name of Jesus. And I think we want to do the same thing.
Yes. And it's so funny because I remember somebody coming to Heritage, and it was somebody who was new to the whole church scene, and they were walking out of the auditorium, and I clearly remember them saying to me, they said, "Man, this is like a feel-good church."
Yeah.
And they meant it with the most sincere opinion, because they had been to other churches before, or maybe it felt heavy. It felt like sad even, and I think it's important to, reflect on your sins and really come to a place where you feel emotion, but an emotion can be happiness.
Yes.
An emotion can be joy.
Yes.
A lot of times when it comes to church, we think of crying, we think of like remorse, and but just the fact that the person referred to as a feel-good church, you have a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about like our creative arts team, one of our things is our mission statement. It's that we want to capture people's attention long enough to capture their hearts for Jesus. And, we do that through a lot of different things. We do that through, videos, or, we'll play secular creative songs, and we just like to relate to people in ways that they actually understand. People will come into church so many times, and they don't want to hear, all this old churchy language that feels outdated. They want to hear something, in a way that they are relating to and understanding. So
Yes.
we try to present things, one thing that I always think about when we talk about that is, Jesus, he spoke in parables all the time when he talked to people, and
this,
to the crowds.
real quick before you say this actually goes to the fact that a lot of people do get offended or frustrated that we do secular music, or even show secular TV shows or clips or movie clips or whatever, which I understand is not normal. That's not like the average church does that, right? So then go. But the reason again is going back to the parable. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And just Jesus, when he was talking to people, he would share all these stories. Hear the parable of the sower and all these like farming stories, and he's trying to relate to the people that he's talking to.
That's good.
And so when we share a different service, when we're in our service, our series, we're talking about things that Jesus didn't say, or whatever, like all this stuff. We want people to be able to relate to, okay, I've heard that saying, and I'm interested to see what the Bible has to say about it, or what Jesus had to say about it. So I just think that's really important.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I do think it's cool because I have seen, people talk about our Sunday services, and maybe they invite somebody into the church. And that's a big part of it too. The reason why we do some of those things is we want to be able to make it a church where you can invite somebody who maybe their arms are crossed with the idea of church.
Yes.
Their arms are crossed thinking that God doesn't understand them. And then all of a sudden they come, maybe play a song that relates to them and speaks to them. And we're not just doing these songs, showing these clips to be cool.
Yes.
And that's the thing people miss a lot of times. They think, oh, you guys are trying to be like edgy. You're trying to be, it's like, no. We're trying to be effective.
Yes.
We're trying to reach people who are far from Jesus. And sometimes we knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Sometimes we hit it to first base.
We're people too, so we make mistakes.
Yes.
And,
so we've had it before. We've had creative elements that have not killed it, right?
Yes.
And we're going to admit that. But we're going to, sometimes we do take those risks because, it's been surprising to see how people's lives have been changed through some of those fun elements and that. And not to mention, the culture we live in is like, I feel like in so many ways, our culture is so like a lot of people claim to be Christians because they were born in America or born in a Christian family, but so many people don't even know the basics of the Bible.
Yeah.
So even if you notice like the way our messages go on Sunday mornings, it used to be 20 years ago, you could give a message and be like, there's a guy named David and what happened with him and Goliath.
Right.
And like everybody in the room would be like, yeah, I understand. Sure. David and Goliath. Yeah, I know that story. Nowadays, you cannot assume anything.
No.
You can't assume that. You can't, like, that's why it's really cool. I like the way our messages are on Sunday mornings, because there'll be a reference. It'll be like, hey, there was this guy named Paul, and before he was Paul, he was Saul, and Saul was the chief sent, and this is what he did. Like, we would, a lot of times we do now, give so much context, because we don't assume that people came in with a certain baseline. And that's one of the things that maybe people don't understand about.
Yeah, and we make our services, when we design our services, in creative meetings behind the scenes, we create them with that person in mind that doesn't have a faith background, that doesn't know, Bible stories, or, maybe even with the person in mind that has a terrible relationship with the church.
Yeah.
They've been hurt by the church in the past. So then they come to Heritage and they're like, this isn't what I thought church was, So we try to break down barriers. We try to, really relate to people in a unique way that not a lot of churches do. So, it's really cool to be a part of this and be a part of a church like this.
That's a great point. Have you personally witnessed or heard stories of life change because of something, an Arts Mountain, the worship song, or maybe a testimony video? Have you heard any stories like that?
Yeah, we've got a lot of stories of people, as part of the arts, we're up on stage, as the countdown is going on, and we'll see people walk in, and a lot of times you'll see a guy, sitting next to his wife, and he's sitting like this, and he's like, I don't want to be here. You can just tell on his face, he's just like, I'm just here to check a box, so my wife's not mad at me, or whatever. And then by the end, that guy's weeping.
Yeah.
And maybe the part that really got him comfortable is, we played Freebird, or we played some secular song, and Freebird isn't Jesus. Freebird isn't the testimony of salvation, but it's what got that person comfortable and really made that person, lower their arms and go, okay, maybe I could listen to this, or or Chris Zarba or Jeff Forster shares a story of something that happened to them in their youth, and that person's like, wow, that guy did that, okay, maybe I can listen to what they're gonna say. So we relate to people like that. And I remember the worship pastor at our Sterling Heights campus, Trey, was telling us a story of somebody that was their first time at Heritage, and we were playing a song by Linkin Park, which is a pretty aggressive, rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, I've never seen a church play Linkin Park. And little did he know it was a series about mental health. So Linkin Park kind of addresses mental health quite a few times. So we played a Linkin Park song the next week as well. And so he came back the next week, heard Linkin Park again, and he was like, this is the best church ever. I'm staying forever. So
he probably thought we were like a Linkin Park cover band.
Yeah, Linkin Park cover band. Yeah, for sure.
That's so funny. So I can remember like a church I was a part of when I was new to working in ministry. The church I was a part of, there would be no secular music.
Yeah.
And not even that, but like when people come into a room, like the students would show up to youth things, we'd play like rock Christian music, or as Kristen mentioned in an earlier podcast, cheesy Christian music we'd be playing, and we had to, And then I remember then going to a church that was definitely more attractional to like the outsider. And I remember we had an event, and we invited. It was a huge high school football event. It was like a flag football thing. Hundreds and hundreds of high school kids come out in the Plymouth area. And I remember the song that was popular at the time, this is going to date me a little bit, but it sounds like this, and you'll probably be able to sing it way better than me, but I'm going to try, okay? It goes, Paradise. You know that one?
Yeah.
Coldplay?
Yeah.
And the song's a bop.
Wait,
and,
can you sing it again real quick?
Nobody wants me singing. I'm not trying out for the arts worship team, just so you know.
Dang, I'll take you off my list.
Yeah, take me, please. But anyway, I remember that song had like such a sick chorus. And I remember like students walking in, and I literally remember these guys who clearly were like jocks at school walking in, and they're like nodding their head. They're like, and then I remember the one guy looked at his friend who had invited him. He goes, "This is your church?" And I was like, man, how cool. Like, he got invited to a flag football event, and he's probably already like, it's at a church.
Yeah.
And then there was a huge prize involved. This is at a church. Hey, we're playing Coldplay. Wait, this is at a church.
Yeah.
And then they gave the gospel presentation. And I have no idea if that kid, accepted Christ that day. Only God knows that one, right? But it's like we try to create these environments that, really, honestly, and this is how we reach people with the hope of Jesus. We try to meet them right where they're at.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So I want to ask specifics on like the band and speaking. You know about the speaking schedule, right? Can you tell everybody just about our teaching team rotation?
Yeah. So, from my understanding, you'll be speaking a lot. Pastor Jeff Forst will be speaking a lot, Chris Zarbaugh. And then, a lot of times, in Imlay City, we'll get, some other speakers in the mix. Ryan Morrill has spoke, Wesley Woods. So we'll get all those speakers in the rotation.
That's perfect. And even the same series, right? We're still going to do the same message series.
Everything will be exactly the same. It's exactly how we've done it at the Imlay City campus. It's if we're playing 3 worship songs and we'll do the same ones in Imlay City, same ones at Stoney Creek. It'll all be pretty much the same thing. So.
Yes, and then talk about the worship set as well, like and the worship team, what that looks like.
Yeah, so it'll be hopefully a rotation. Myself, Trey will make his way over there, and our other worship leaders from our Sterling Heights campus. We'll try and get as many over there, and then hopefully we'll have some new faces on the team. Get some new people involved. From the Rochester area, plenty of different faces, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, and really at the end of the day, the thing that we have found that's kind of like a secret sauce in so many ways is we're a lot of churches maybe they have one main singer and like the same band and the same speaker every Sunday. We have found that there's this rotation and it just keeps things fresh and it keeps things exciting.
Absolutely.
Our series aren't always the same. We may have a series you mentioned earlier, like a mental health thing. Yeah. But then the next one is strictly a Jesus series. Like who is Jesus? Mm-hmm. Then you may go into like the importance of serving, right? And there'll be a 2-part series on the importance of, so we try our best to really be creative when we plan the series, but not even just creative, but really just effective in reaching people and then help grow them along in their journey towards knowing Jesus. And that goes into the arts elements as well.
Yep, absolutely.
So can you just let anybody know who maybe they're a great drummer or maybe they want to help with tech or run sound maybe, and like that, how does somebody how do they get involved on the worship and arts production team?
Yeah, so we're working on actually a few new things for getting involved. So right now, if you head to heritagechurch.com/serving, you can get involved in any of the different areas. You could probably speak to, I think it's heritagechurch.com/HC campus is for new campus stuff. So if you're interested in being involved in the new campus in any way, head there. But specifically for arts and worship, if you want to be on stage in any way, we have just an audition process. So you'll send us a quick video and we'll get back to you, within 48 hours and just kind of connect with you. We want to build a relationship with you and find the right spot for you to serve because, a lot of people are asking to be a part of the different teams and at every campus. So we always try to get people involved in the best way that they can.
Yes.
So, whether that's being on stage or serving as part of our tech team, you're going to have a lot of different needs. And, the unique thing about the Stoney Creek campus compared to the Sterling Heights and Imlay City campuses is we're going to have to set everything up in the morning and then tear it back down after the services. So we're going to need help with that.
We need help. And some of it may not be like, you may think like, I'm not super technically gifted, but if you can move some stuff, lift things, plug things in, and be of help. Even like you at Imlay City, one of the great things about Nathan that you may not know about him, he's a great team builder. Yeah. At our Imlay City campus, there's a rotation of people that serve food to the band and tech, because you guys all get there so early, right?
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, we're gonna need all that. And Jude Hall, I'll shout her out. She helps us coordinate the breakfast team, and we always have a good rotation. We're always trying to compete with Mark Crummins and the breakfast he makes in Sterling Heights. So
breakfast is one of our love languages for Shu. Is food is a love language at Heritage Church.
Yep.
And then another thing too is even choir. If somebody's like, hey, maybe you're like me and you can't hit those high notes, but you're like, man, I got some energy and I love the Lord and I want to sing and show them off my passion. Choir's a great spot as well.
Absolutely. And we do need talented vocalists for the choir. So just want to make that clear.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, when you're looking for musicians and vocalists, you end up with an excess of vocalists. So, if you want to sing, we might not get everybody in the rotation always every week, but you've seen it on the Sterling Heights stage. We try and get a choir out there every once in a while, and it just brings such an amazing energy, and it's so powerful. So we'll definitely try and do that at the Stoney Creek campus. On some sort of a rotation for sure.
And I'm really appreciating you being on this podcast, because I want people who are watching this who just feel like, man, there's something happening at Heritage Church. I want them to see that none of this is us, again, trying to be cool or just trying to be hip or relevant, but that really we're intentional about trying to reach people right where they're at and then bringing them into a serious relationship with Jesus. And so thank you so much for the impact you make. And I'm just so thankful that we're going to have that same impact at the Stoney Creek campus.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Inside Stoney Creek. We'll see you guys later.